Here's what nobody tells you about winter emergencies. The families that make it through with everyone warm, safe, and still speaking to each other aren't the ones who dropped $1,000 on tactical gear. They're the ones who spent $20 at Dollar Tree and actually understood what they were buying. I know how that sounds. Dollar store survival prep feels like a joke, like something from a parody video. But stay with me, because most prepper channels are either too proud or too sponsored to admit the truth. The laws of physics don't give a damn about brand names. Energy flows from hot to cold whether you paid $5 or $500. Insulation works on trapped air and material density, not marketing budgets. And when your power goes out at 2 in the morning in February and your house starts bleeding warmth like a punctured balloon, dropping 1 degree every 45 minutes, your family's survival isn't about expensive gear. It's about whether you understood thermodynamics well enough to use whatever you had on hand. Today, I'm walking you through 10 items sitting ignored in Dollar Tree right now that outperform roughly half the stuff in survival stores. I won't just list them, I'll show you the actual science of why they work and the real family moments they solve, the principles that separate people who own gear from people who stay alive and sane. Winter has a way of making that difference painfully clear very fast. Let's start with the one that looks like Thanksgiving garbage but is actually a masterclass in energy management. Aluminum roasting pans, the flimsy disposable kind that come 3 to a pack for $1. You've walked past them 100 times because your brain labels them single-use trash. But these are radiant energy reflectors that can redirect up to 60% of your heat source back into the room instead of letting it conduct straight through walls into the freezing night. Picture this, day 4 of a blackout. One small propane heater is all you have. Your whole family is huddled in the living room trying to sleep. Half the energy radiates backward, warming the drywall and heating the neighborhood instead of your kids. Prop a roasting pan behind the heater, shiny side facing the room. Suddenly, the wall cools while the center of the room climbs 4 or 5 degrees. Your daughter, who has been shivering under blankets for 3 nights, finally sleeps through until morning. Her breathing evens out. Your wife's shoulders drop for the first time in days. One 33-cent piece of aluminum just gave your family their first real rest in 96 hours. What if that was your family? That's not a feel-good story, that's thermodynamics in action. Radiant energy travels in straight lines until it hits a surface. Most surfaces absorb it and let it bleed away. Aluminum reflects infrared at roughly 85% efficiency. You're not creating new heat, you're stealing it back from the walls. This beats expensive reflective blankets because it doesn't tear and molds exactly where you need it. But here's where single-use thinking gets people killed. The same pans collect snowmelt without adding metallic taste, act as wind barriers for outdoor fires, serve as ash scoops for wood stoves, and become reflector ovens for baking bread on an open flame. One item, 5 completely different emergencies solved. That's the adaptability that keeps normal families functional when infrastructure fails, not fancy tactical gear that does only one thing. Now, the next item is going to make you think I've lost my mind, but I need you to trust me for 60 seconds. Pool noodles, the bright foam tubes that cost $1 on clearance in October. Buy at least 6. Before you click away, let me tell you about the family who didn't. Polar vortex hits at -15. Day 2, they hear a loud crack inside the walls. A pipe burst, water cascading from the 2nd floor. $4,000 in damage, no heat because the boiler line split, and their winter emergency turned into a financial nightmare. $6 in pool noodles would have stopped the entire disaster. Water expands when it freezes, enough force to crack copper. Every pipe running through an unheated basement, crawl space, or garage is a hidden bomb. Hardware stores charge $20 for 6 feet of foam insulation. Pool noodles are closed cell foam with the same R value for $1. Cut one lengthwise with a utility knife and snap it on. Done. But pipe protection is only the obvious win. Cut noodles to fit under exterior doors and you seal the half-inch gap that's stealing up to 15% of your warmth. It's like leaving a window cracked all day and night while wondering why the heater runs constantly. Stack cut pieces in windows you won't open and you create still air pockets, the same principle that makes double pane glass effective. Cold stops bleeding through. One purpose on the package label, 7 real purposes when things go sideways. This is the item your neighbors will wish they bought when their pipes explode. Third item, this is where we talk about building science that most of us slept through in school but desperately need now. Clear plastic shower curtain liners. Get 4 of the cheap, thin, clear ones, not the decorative kind. Your windows are thermal disasters. Glass conducts energy 30 times faster than insulated walls. On a cold night, every window is a hole pouring your heat outside. Tape a liner to the frame with roughly a 1-inch air gap between plastic and glass. You've built a poor man's storm window for $1. Hardware store kits that cost $20 to $50 use the exact same idea. The trapped still air is what actually insulates. It's the secret behind fiberglass, down jackets, everything. This move cuts window loss by 25 to 35%. $4 can save noticeable money across a 4-month winter. But forget the math for a second. The real magic is creating a warm room when you can't heat the whole house. Seal off the living room with these liners and blankets. The rest of the house drops to 40 degrees. You can see your breath like smoke in the hallway. Yet, inside that sealed bubble, the temperature holds at 68. Your kids play cards in shirt sleeves. Mom's shoulders finally relax. Nobody has slept properly in a week, but now the family stops fracturing and starts functioning again. That psychological relief, one safe, warm space, is worth 10 times the dollar you spent. These same liners double as ground covers, rainwater collectors that don't leach chemicals, wind blocks, and moisture barriers. You're not buying shower curtains. You're buying versatile sealed material that some marketing team put in the wrong aisle. Fourth item. This one separates people who memorize facts from people who truly understand principles. Aluminum foil. Heavy duty if they have it. Everyone owns this, but almost nobody uses it for its real superpower. Your body is a furnace, radiating infrared energy like a tiny star. Wrap foil around your core, under your jacket, shiny side in, and you reflect that heat back toward your skin instead of losing it to the air. This is especially powerful in winter when you're sitting still. Radiant loss is your biggest enemy, not conduction or convection. The bigger win most people miss: cover cardboard from cereal boxes with foil, shiny side facing the room, and place it over north-facing windows at night. The cardboard adds insulation while the foil bounces warmth back inside. Together, they can cut window losses by up to 70% compared to bare glass. 20 minutes of work and your family wakes up rested instead of exhausted from fighting the cold all night. You can line boxes to keep food warm longer on limited fuel, wrap frozen pipes to spread heat evenly and avoid cracks, or build solar reflectors to pull free warmth deeper into rooms. $1 roll quietly changes the entire thermal dynamic of your house. This isn't the foil trick you've seen in every video. This is targeted, physics-driven placement that actually moves the needle for real families. Fifth item, and this is where we talk about something everyone forgets until the taps run dry. Cellulose sponges, the compressed kind that expand when wet. Buy a full pack. In winter water emergencies, you end up pulling from snowmelt or streams loaded with sediment. Run the water through a sponge first. It catches visible debris that would clog your expensive $30 to $50 filters in days instead of months. The sponge doesn't kill pathogens, but it removes the particles that shield bacteria from boiling or chemicals, making purification faster and more reliable. Picture your youngest cutting his hand while helping clear snow from the steps. A clean sponge lets you pack the wound quickly without wasting precious medical supplies you might need later. Dry sponges are also top-tier tinder, pure wood pulp that catches sparks easily and burns long enough to ignite wet kindling when everything outside is soaked. Freeze wet ones for ice packs and coolers, or stuff them into cracks for instant insulation. One cheap pack quietly handles filtration, fire, injury, and cooling. This is practical field value, not theory. Sixth item. This looks like simple organization, but is actually survival infrastructure. Plastic storage bins with locking lids. $2 each. Get at least 6. When storms are forecast, fill them. 60 gallons of stored water means you don't panic when the taps run dry on day 2 while everyone else fights over bottled water at gas stations. But water is the obvious use. Stack filled bins as insulated walls around the small heater, and you create a warm room thermal barrier that holds heat with far less fuel. Empty ones become rodent-proof food storage. Mice invade houses in winter and can destroy everything in one night. They serve as elevated platforms off cold floors that steal warmth, wash basins for careful water use, document safes, and emergency toilets. 72 hours without working sanitation and the smell alone can break a family faster than the cold ever could. A lined bin with kitty litter prevents disease and despair before it starts. This is the quiet infrastructure that keeps homes livable. Seventh item. Insulation pretending to be school supplies. Foam core poster board. $1 per sheet. Each half-inch thickness gives real insulating value. Cut pieces to fit window frames at night, and you eliminate your single biggest energy loss pathway. Take them down during daylight for free solar gain and natural light, then replace at sunset. This one daily habit can reduce heating costs by 20 to 30% for $6 total on a normal house. Outside at 20 degrees and inside at 70, glass loses 25 degrees across something as thin as a credit card. The foam spreads that temperature gradient and keeps warmth where your family needs it. Why does this matter when everyone is already exhausted from fighting the cold? Because it turns freezing bedrooms back into usable space instead of ice boxes. Cover the boards with foil for extra reflection. Use them as sleeping pads against concrete floors that suck heat out of your body. Build temporary room dividers to shrink the space you have to heat, or even fashion lightweight splints for injuries. Waterproof, rot-proof, and almost weightless. Real engineered insulation that was marketed to kids for projects. 8th item. This is chemistry hiding under your sink that everyone ignores. Concentrated dish soap, the grease-cutting kind. It's a surfactant that breaks surface tension so cold water can actually penetrate fabric. After 5 days without hot water, your teenage son is wearing the same clothes. Bacteria multiply, skin infections start showing up. Soap lets cold water clean body oils and grime, stopping medical problems from piling on top of thermal stress. The mother who can still wash clothes watches her kids stay healthier while others get sicker. Mix a little with water and brush it on gas connections. Bubbles instantly show leaks before carbon monoxide kills someone in their sleep or an explosion happens. It also boosts ice melt when added to salt, repels invading pests, and lubricates stuck mechanisms. $2 solving problems you won't even know you have until systems have already failed. 9th item. This is friction when you need it most, and you need it more than you realize. Rubber shelf liner. The mesh kind that comes in rolls for $1. Hypothermia hits your extremities first. Blood flow drops. Grip strength can halve. Picture your wife after 4 days of nonstop crisis management trying to open a jar of peanut butter with numb hands. The lid might as well be welded shut. The can opener slips. Wrap a piece of this liner around the lid and physics gives her the grip back. You eat, your family stays fed. The same material becomes non-slip padding on tool handles so you don't drop a flashlight in the dark. Boot traction on ice so a small slip doesn't become a broken ankle. Gaskets for weatherproofing containers, vibration dampeners so a generator doesn't advertise your power to the whole neighborhood, and elastic tie-downs that won't scratch surfaces. When hands are clumsy and ice is everywhere, this cheap mesh stops small failures from turning into big emergencies. 10th and final item. This is versatility in elastic form. Bungee cords. Heavy duty if available. The ability to secure, compress, attach, and bind is worth more in a real emergency than most single-purpose tools. Picture day 6 of a blizzard. Wind has torn part of your makeshift shelter. Bungee cords let you repair and secure tarps into windbreaks in seconds. They hold doors that lost latches, create clotheslines for drying gear because wet clothes in winter is a direct highway to hypothermia, and compress sleeping bags for easy transport. In a car stuck in snow, they secure supplies, hold damaged parts together until you reach safety, and create extra purchase points for extraction. The elastic property means they keep tension even when loads shift. Rope goes slack. Bungee adapts. They deploy in seconds when conditions are getting worse fast. Buy a dozen. You will use every single one for things you never imagined when you grab them off the shelf. The obvious items are still worth buying. Flashlights, lighters, candles with ventilation awareness, duct tape, and Mylar blankets as backup. But your real unfair advantage comes from these 10 physics-savvy choices your neighbors will completely overlook. Your edge is understanding the laws of physics well enough to exploit them with cheap materials. Pole noodles solve pipe problems as well as $50 insulation kits. Shower curtains create vapor barriers the same way $500 shelter systems do. Aluminum reflects infrared radiation no matter the price tag on the package. The laws of physics don't care about your budget. Energy always flows from hot to cold. Air infiltration turns your house into a sieve. Radiant energy bounces off metallic surfaces. Dead air insulates like a thermos. These rules apply equally whether you bought tactical gear or dollar store foam. So before winter settles in and you're reacting instead of preparing, take $20 and one trip to Dollar Tree. Buy redundancy in the critical categories. Buy with specific failure scenarios in mind. What happens when the power stays off for a week, when pipes freeze solid, when you have to keep 4 people alive and relatively comfortable in one room on limited fuel?